Hey, what's up guys? The iPhone SE2 is coming out pretty soon. It's been about 2 years since it launched, and these are the rumors I'm pretty sure are rock solid at this point. So let's keep in mind that the iPhone SE and future SE2 aren't flagships. They don't need to be refreshed every year, but the people who originally bought the SE are probably near the end of their contract now or are due in part for an upgrade. Oh, and by the way, just want to preface this by reminding everyone that these are rumors. We won't really know how the phone's going to look until the actual review date. Alright, so WWDC is fast approaching, and although that conference is mostly software based, mostly talking about what direction iOS and macOS is heading, it was just last year that Apple made WWDC a hardware launch event as well, where they debuted the iPad Pro 10.5 inch and the HomePod. Alright, so on to the actual changes themselves. To keep continuity between Apple's 2018 and 2019 iPhone lineup, the SE2 is reportedly going to have a glass back. You know, to support wireless charging. Plus, it would be weird for Apple to sell an up-to-date smartphone without it being able to work with their own AirPower charging pad. The next thing that is certain if Apple follows history is that the SE2 will ship with the A10 Fusion chip as its SoC. It's a year old compared to the iPhone 8 and 10, but still plenty enough to power a non-1080p 4-inch Retina screen. To keep costs low, I'm pretty sure it's going to have the same 2 gigs of RAM that it usually has, and bear in mind that should be okay, especially since that phone isn't really meant to be a big media powerhouse. There are some renders and rumors that show the SE2 with a notch and an iPhone 10-like front on top of an iPhone 5 chassis, but I don't think that's going to happen at all. Remember, and only recently did Apple get the hang of mass-producing Face ID modules, and that component is probably one of the most expensive parts on the iPhone 10, so I find it highly doubtful that it would show up on Apple's non-flagship. Speaking of no Face ID, it's going to keep the fingerprint sensor, and I'm pretty sure it will have a solid-state button for increased reliability. And again, it will keep it in line with the iPhone 8 series of phones. Touch ID is just easier for Apple to mass produce, and people who buy the SE phones aren't looking for the latest and greatest in tech. They're looking for a phone that's great at just being a phone. Another thing that's pretty much guaranteed to happen whether you like it or not at this point is the removal of the headphone jack. So even though it's on the same size body as the iPhone 5S, there should be room for it, I think. But if they're going to remove it, it's going to follow the ethos of Apple's design philosophy for all of its iPhones at this point. And hopefully with the trade-off of the headphone jack, we should be expecting water resistance in this phone. Now time for one of the most important features that really differentiate phones at this point, and that's the camera. So one of the, in my opinion, greatest achievements that the original SE was able to do was to put the most up-to-date camera that Apple had at the time inside a smaller body and keep a nice flush design with no camera bump. So hopefully at least, if Apple can repeat that, we can expect the same camera specs on the 8's main shooter, but in terms of pictures. And here's why I mean pictures. Because I expect the iPhone SE2 to come with the A10 processor, it probably won't be able to do 4K at 60 that the 8 Plus and 10 are able to do. Because that camera is also powered by the A11 Bionic processor, and that sheer processing power is actually pretty important in encoding those large 4K videos. But that shouldn't expect most people. 1080p at 60 is great enough, and the pictures are still going to be just as beautiful. And hey, as long as there's no camera bump, I don't think there's much to complain about. So the last area I want to talk about and start wrapping things up is pricing. It's probably going to be in the ballpark of $350 to $450, and my official guess is $429.99. That seems like a good area for Apple to make profit, as well as something most consumers are able to stomach quite easily. And I'm pretty sure the reason why they can do this is because most of the parts are relatively old and not cutting edge. The only thing that's really expensive is probably the camera and the glass back. Also, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be the last iteration of the SE in this form factor. If the SE3 shares the same design, that would have been 6 years. That would have been 6 years of Apple using the same design, and it would just look really dated at that point. Now, what's the point of the SE2? This is actually a great product for Apple to make and sell because it's a market that's pretty much cornered by Apple. A small form factor phone that delivers Apple's build quality, dedicated software support for years to come, and a guaranteed warranty at an affordable price. That's something you just don't see a lot in the marketplace for this form factor. So if your SE is acting up or you feel like you want an upgrade to have the latest specs, you should hold off for now and see what Apple unveils to the world in the next couple of weeks. And if the SE2 catches your attention, that's the phone for you. Truth be told, I don't think I can recommend anyone to get the SE2, especially since there's going to be a rumored 6.1-inch LCD iPhone that's going to have the same design as the iPhone 10, with Face ID and that all-screen display. For just a little bit more money, you get so much more in features and design. See you next time. Peace.